So you know how after every big wrestling show, you go online and you talk about, oh, that match was the shit, or that match was awful. They botched this spot and that sucked, or whatever. Everybody's got their opinion, right? Everybody's entitled to their opinions, right or wrong. We all have them. But according to Ric Flair, if he had it his way, we wouldn't be allowed to talk about wrestling. He doesn't think you should have an opinion. Check out this clip.
Unless you are in the locker room around the talent, I mean, and actually get a feel for what's going on inside that building, I don't think people should be allowed to talk about wrestling.
Oh. Now, which part of wrestling? You mean in terms of what they like or don't like, or just the critiques of this guy shouldn't do this or this
That's
guy?
a critique
Yeah.
because they don't know what's going on inside the door. I saw it for myself the other day, and I said, I told you, I said, you know what? I'm not the man anymore. Was I the man? Yeah, but it's just changed.
Yeah.
And I read all these guys criticizing people from afar. I mean, come on. What, how can you? And I'm guilty of it too. Then I walked back into it
Mm.
and I go, wow, I rethought, as you know, everything I said. Because if you're not there feeling the emotion and the respect and really understanding the due diligence and the hard work that these kids put in, you really shouldn't be able to crack on them.
Right.
And all the other people sitting on the outside, hollering and whining on their fake names, should go fuck themselves. They really should. But, I mean, just watching them, just picking it apart, da 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 da. Come on, guys, give me a break. Make a
Yeah.
living doing something else.
I really hate that shit. We hear wrestlers say it all the time, you know. Oh, this fucking Mark, he's never been in the ring before. He's never taken any bumps. He shouldn't be able to have an opinion, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Like, it's such a stupid argument. It's based off just being bitter because you got a bad review on your match. That's all it is. Oh, these journalists don't know what it's like to be in the ring. Shut the fuck up. Anybody that's been around the wrestling business long enough, even just watching the matches, they're entitled to their opinions. And if you've been around long enough, you know the difference between a good match and a bad match. Look, if somebody fucking misses the top rope spot, you know, they slip off the top rope, they botch it or whatever. That's a botch. We know that. We recognize that. We can see it with our eyes. So don't fucking come out and tell me I can't talk about it now because you've never been in the ring before, never took a bump. Look, I've taken my fair share of bumps in my day, right? I'm not a wrestler, not a trained professional, but I got my ass bumped around quite a bit in the indie wrestling days. And I'll tell you what, taking a bump, it teaches you a thing or two. I'll give you that. But it doesn't tell you if a match is good or not, right? Taking a bump doesn't make you a fucking expert on if this match between Bianca Belair and Alexa Bliss was a good match or it was a shit match. You can tell by watching it with your own two fucking eyes. Now, I'll give you that. There's some things, now, if you want to criticize booking, there's some things that maybe if you're not there behind the scenes in the locker room, you just don't know the full story, right? Maybe somebody's out hurt. Maybe somebody's got to take the week off. Maybe somebody's sick. Maybe they're, you know, they got to rework something because of this, that, or the other thing. Something fell through, so they got to change plans. Shit happens. So you can critique booking decisions still. There's nothing wrong with that. But take them with a grain of salt because you never know what's going on behind the scenes, right? We'll talk about this later, but there's that hot potato thing with the TNT title. Well, one thing, Wardlow was out injured, and they don't necessarily announce that on TV. They just show Samoa Joe beat down Wardlow, and they're like, why are they burying Wardlow? Well, he was hurt. You know, and they should say stuff like that, but they don't always. And it's not necessarily always our business. These are other people's health problems, right? So if they're written off the show for a little bit, fine, so be it, understandable. So we got to take our opinions with a grain of salt when it comes to booking decisions because we don't know the full story. But we can all pretty much tell if a match is a good match or not. Now, wrestling is art and it's subjective. Some people are going to love a good, like Timothy Thatcher and Bryan Danielson had a fucking epic wrestling match. But some people don't like that shit. People like the Gaga and stuff. You know, they'd rather watch Sami Zayn and Johnny Knoxville wrestle in mouse traps than Timothy Thatcher and Bryan Danielson grappling each other and trying to twist each other in the pretzels. All of it's wrestling, though. And at the end of the day, we all have our opinions and we're all entitled to our opinions. And I just hate this idea that you have to be a wrestler to have an opinion on wrestling. It's bullshit. And I know that there's indie wrestlers out there that'll, you know, maybe comment or something and be like, well, you know, actually, and that's your opinion and stuff. But look, we can all watch a match and see that that match was dog shit. And we don't need to be trained professionals to understand that. You know, I get where you're coming from. You're trained, you know the in and outs, you know the nuances of things, but a bad match is a bad match. And look, you're doing the match for the fans. The fans don't have to like everything you're doing. And that's the other thing I hate too. Sorreo did that the other day with the, you know, oh, people are just ragging on me to troll me. No, it's because your match sucked. Can't your match just suck? Can't you just be not that great? Or does it have to be that the people criticizing you, oh, they're just trolls. They don't know what they're talking about. They've never been in the ring before. What do they know? A bunch of marks. It's bullshit. It's goddamn bullshit. I'll tell you what, getting super kicked in the face or getting fucking put through a table in my day, stabbed in the head with a fork. I'll tell you, it doesn't make me any better of a critiquer of a wrestling match than I would be had I not been stabbed in the head with a fork. So, you know, it's a bullshit argument. But hey, look, I'm open to your thoughts. I'm open to your opinions. And I hate to see it from Ric Flair too, because Ric Flair, you know, I gave him credit last week for burying the hatchet with Becky Lynch. And, you know, he seems to have been pretty bitter lately, and he maybe made some amends back at Raw 30. But he's still out there taking his shots and being just an arrogant fuck. You know, he was ripping on Don Callis on this show too. To Be the Man, his podcast with Conrad Thompson. And it was funny, you know, Conrad said something about Don Callis, and Ric Flair's like, who's Dan Callis? How many championships did he win? It's funny, but it's like, why do you got to have that attitude about people? You know what I mean? And to have that attitude that fans shouldn't be able to talk about, you know, he literally said for like these wrestling journalists and stuff, find something better to do with your time. Find something else to do to make a living. You know? Like these fucking wrestling journalists. Look, Meltzer, Wade Keller, these guys have been around for 40 years. They've been around since the 80s. You can't tell me they don't know the difference between a good wrestling match and a bad wrestling match. All of you know. You watch a fucking bad match, you know it's a bad match. It's just a bad take by Ric Flair. And it's in my opinion, it's just being salty about bad reviews that you get or that your peers get. And then you're like, well, who's this asshole? Why does he get to have an opinion? He never took a bump. It's stupid. It's elitist. In fact, it's gatekeeping in a lot of ways, you know, to sit there and say, well, nobody should ever have an opinion on pro wrestling unless they're in the locker room or they've taken bumps or had a match or whatever the fuck. It's gatekeeping, to be honest with you, and it's not fair. Fans can be smart to the business too. You don't have to be a pro to know a thing or two about the business, especially in this day and age. You know, a hardcore fan is well studied. They've watched hundreds, if not thousands, of matches by now, and listened to lots of insider things, and they just know the difference between crap and a classic. And the Nature Boy sitting there fucking reading me the riot act for having a goddamn opinion online is just, it's lowbrow, and it's kind of dickish. So that's my 2 cents on it, though. And I'm gonna critique a Ric Flair match just to spite the motherfucker. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Should we not have opinions on matches? Should Meltzer and Keller and Sean Ross Sapp Sean Ross Sapp was a wrestler, so technically he gets an opinion, but you get my point. Should these guys not be able to write about wrestling and rate things and have critiques because they never took a bump? Is it that cut and dry, or do you think we're all a little bit smarter than that and we deserve a little bit more credit than what we're being given? I don't know. Leave your thoughts down in the comments below, and I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next. Don't critique this. You cannot critique this episode. You can't critique this clip unless you're a YouTuber. Okay, I don't want to see any critiques. If you're not a fucking YouTuber, if you've never done it before, then you have no business talking about it in my comments. Let me tell you something, brother. You can check out full episodes each and every Sunday right here on this channel, dude. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to take your vitamins and say your prayers, brother.